Welcome to the Market Mystics podcast. I'm Joshua.
I'm Kim. Let's dive in. What up, you guys? How's it going, Josh?
Welcome to August. I'm doing pretty good.
Welcome to August this year. You guys, it's flown
Zooming.
by, right?
Yeah. But I feel like, okay, so like there's been years where I'm like, I thought that year would never end. 2020. I thought that year would never end. And then there's been years that feel like I blinked and it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And this year I'm like, man, I feel like it's going fast, but I feel like I've done a lot. Like I feel like it's been such a full year that it doesn't feel like fast and wasted. It feels like fast, but like full.
That's good.
Yeah. And maybe that's just me personally where I'm at with things, but yeah, that's how I've been feeling about it.
Sweet. Sweet. What's on the billet today?
So I was thinking about like just kind of processing some of the conversation we had with Gil and continuing the like your belief system and your thoughts on hell, and been having some conversations with Bree about some of that. And it's just, I keep coming to this idea that where we look is where our thoughts and our like kind of direction takes us. And so like as I'm thinking about just that conversation of hell, I'm like, yeah, many of the churches I've been a part of who are very evangelical, like, or evangelism focused is more so what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Like those types of churches tend to be so focused on like behavior modification and hell that like of course that's what they see everywhere they look. And like you and I, when we have moved into like whatever we moved into, whatever you want to call it, like we started focusing on like the life and the heaven and like the good side of things. And so of course hell became like just not a focus. Like it just like it wasn't that important because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that wasn't where we were looking. And that's just like it stuck out in my mind as like, man, this is so key, because if that's true that where you're looking, like that's where you're going, that's all the things you see, like then it's really important what we fill our eyes with, and fill our thoughts with. And it's kind of interesting because you and I were talking just a little bit beforehand about some political stuff and just how
Mm-hmm.
kind of like no matter what your opinion is, it's kind of messy right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, if you just focus on that, then that's all you see, and that's all you see everywhere you look. And it, like, I'm not trying to tell people to avoid looking at messy things, but just be aware of like if your thoughts are lower vibration thoughts, if you're like, if when you pray to God all you hear is doom and gloom, maybe that's because all you're looking at is doom and gloom.
That's interesting because it actually reminds me of our last episode, which was the leap of faith episode, and how we talked about in some of our, when we did that battle group, we were kind of going and looking for the doom and gloom a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit, like that wasn't super the focus, but it was through the, all right, Lord, what do you want us to do? What is bad and what do you want us to fix? Right. And it took him like removing us and refocusing to start seeing it from a different perspective. Right. But it was, if we were looking for it, we would find it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do find that really interesting. And I find it also really interesting the amount of influence that social media and their algorithms can have on your track of thought, I suppose, and what you're going to be focusing on. Because, I mean, as we all know, I mean, our phones are kind of listening all the time. I could talk about lemon pie and how much I need to find a recipe for lemon pie. And I guarantee you, this thing right here will show me recipes for lemon pie tonight.
Yeah.
Because it's hearing, it's picking up on the things that are being said and the things that get clicked on and the things that you give more attention to. And so and then the more we look at it, the more it learns our behavior and what we want and what we don't want. And the more it feeds you what it thinks you want or what it thinks you need. And it could very quickly spiral into you being in a place that you just don't even want to be. And you wind up like blinking out of the trance and going, how did I even get here?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
I found myself last week going on Twitter probably once a day, which is way more than usual because it's usual is like once every 6 months.
Yeah.
But I also am someone who doesn't really ascribe to any of the normal news networks or anything like that. So Twitter is kind of a better news source. But then all of a sudden I'm getting much more focused on political things.
Mm.
And the more I see, the more I'm focused on it. And the more I'm focused on it, the more I see it. And it kind of really does work that way. And at least for me, I kind of have to be snapped out of it. Like I was gone for 4 or 5 days to a conference in Dallas. And I was busy from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep. And I had no time for social media. And it was actually perfectly timed before I got too far into that rabbit hole where it was like such a habit that I couldn't help but go. Mm-hmm. And look, you know what I mean? And I know that this in itself is kind of a rabbit hole, but that's what it was really making me think of.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just recently put, there's a feature on iPhones called downtime, and it basically limits your phone to like phone calls and text messages. Mm-hmm. And so I put that on my phone for like every evening now. And it was just something I was just like, I didn't necessarily feel like I was abusing anything, but like, I don't know, just in general, there's a lot of research on like, don't use your phone an hour or two before bed and you'll fall asleep better. And I often would use my phone clear up until I went to bed. So I was like, oh, like I want to help adjust that. Mm-hmm. And so like I did that, but I've noticed like, I mean, you can still click on an app and say, like, hey, give me 15 minutes. Like it doesn't like make it impossible to access, but even just that little barrier more often than not is enough to be like, oh yeah, I don't actually need to open Facebook. Right. I don't actually need to open TikTok right now. Mm-hmm. And like that, I think making that conscious decision of this is where I'm going to put my focus. Like that's kind of like the heart of what I wanted to bring today was like, I do think that if you are looking for doom and gloom, and then you go and ask God about a situation, you're more than likely going to get an answer that has doom and gloom in it, because whatever he says has to come through all of your filters before your mind hears it. And if you have a really positive and hopeful outlook for the future, whatever you ask him is probably going to end up being hopeful and joyful because it's coming through those filters to get to you. And I think somewhere there's a balance in this. Like, I remember a while ago, like when I was talking to the Lord about this, like, but isn't it important that we know these things that are going on? And there's like, and I think we've talked about this, but like there's parts in the Bible where Paul talks about like, be aware of the ways of the devil so that you don't get deceived. Like, understand how he functions, understand what he's doing, what his purpose is. And then he also says, focus, or like, put your mind on things that are above, things that are lovely and pure, and like, and so it's like there's a balance here. There is a, like, yeah, be aware that things are messy. Be aware that you have an adversary who pushes against things you want to do, and understand how that functions. But don't just look there. Like, put your mind somewhere else. And I think that that's so important because, like, I don't know. There's been a lot of times where I'm like, where I feel a certain way about God. And then I realize that that's how I feel about myself at the moment. And the more that I like focus on changing my internal thoughts and my beliefs towards myself, the more it changes my interaction with God. And I just think that that's such a big, like, I think that's an important thing to remember. Like, what you focus on is so important, and it matters in how you view the world, and it matters in how you view God.
Yeah. I have a friend who would probably say, I don't know that they're a believer or not.
Yeah.
Grew up Catholic, has been away from the church for a really long time. And was asking me something about God. And I'm like, well, why don't you just ask him? And they're like, well, how do you do that? And I was like, just turn toward him. Like, he's with you. He's not far away. You think he's far away, but he's not far away. And then I just got an update from them saying, like, you were right. Like, all I had to do was turn, like, and just seek him. And I think some of this, if we focus on God being far away and super complicated and for us, but not really for us, but mostly not for us, but I know he says he's for us, but maybe he really isn't. If we focus on that kind of stuff, then that's what's going to come to you. But if you focus on him being close to you, right? If you focus on him being for you, if you focus on him wanting to see you succeed, on him wanting you to go forward in what he's meant for you, I think then you'll find that too. And this is turning into purpose talk, but I really think this is also applicable there, because if you look at God and you see doom and gloom, then that's what you're seeking out. That's what you're going to find. That's also scriptural. Seek and you'll find. Knock and the door will be opened, right? If you're looking for doom and gloom, you're going to find it. If you go to the door of doom and gloom, it will be opened. You know what I mean? But on the flip side, if you are looking for life, you will find it. If you are knocking on the door of love, it will be open to you. And sometimes it's just that shift in that awareness, and just being able to shift gears, and even be open to the other thing that can open up a whole new world to you, essentially. And kind of even shut off some of those other voices that may be taunting and making you think another way, you know?
Yeah. It's so interesting. I heard someone say today, like, sometimes we believe that it's our past traumas that create our future, but it's really what we think about our past traumas in the present that create our tomorrow. And so, like, I think that fits so much with what we're talking about, because it's like, there's so much power in what you choose to look at and what you choose to put your energy and your emotion into and your belief into. Like, it makes a big difference in how you see the world and how the world functions.
Right. Yeah. It totally does. I had something I was gonna say about what you just said, and I've just completely lost it.
I hate when that happens. I had that happen the other day, and it was like 3 days later. I was like, oh, I remember now. And then it was way past the point of even being relevant.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, I guess if it's gone, it's gone. And we can wrap it up, and maybe it'll come back on the next episode.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe so. Hopefully so. We'll see. All of our episodes lately have kind of felt like they've just led from one to another anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
So I'm sure it'll come back up.
Yeah, I think
right.
So. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
I guess if we're wrapping it up, I want to say a couple final words.
Yeah.
And this is in the realm of politics in America.
Let's hear
I'm
it.
just going there, Josh.
Let's hear it.
I actually don't have an opinion about like support one side, don't support the other side, any of that kind of stuff. I'm not saying one candidate is better than another, anything like that. But maybe look for some peace in it. Maybe look for some love in it. Maybe look for some life in it, because I think then you'll find it. And I need to take the same advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it can be easy to be pulled down into a spiral of that doom and gloom. But I also think we're powerful enough to control what kind of energy we allow with that, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It's important.
True. Okay. Also, before we go, don't forget about the giveaway that's happening on Instagram right now. Go like and share, and you'll get entered to win a one-of-a-kind t-shirt at market.mystics.
It's truly one of a kind, because we only ordered one.
We only ordered and only have one that has ever been printed.
Yeah.
And so it really is one of a kind. We'll mail it to you. If you're out of the US, I'm sorry. But
we'll check on shipping costs.
We can check on shipping costs, but we'll try our best. But we would love to be able to send you a t-shirt.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Thanks, guys.
See ya. Hey, thanks for listening. Keep up with us along this journey by liking, subscribing, and becoming a member through YouTube.
Members get exclusive access to bonus content with our guests, deeper dives into topics, and a look into other projects. We're glad to have you here. See you next time.